The male protagonist never expected that he would be reborn as the weakest skeleton monster. Fortunately, every time he defeats a monster, he can enhance his strength. Once he accumulates enough power, he can even evolve into a more advanced monster. So, deep in the labyrinth, after defeating countless skeleton monsters and slimes, the male protagonist finally evolved into a ghoul. At first, he thought he could quietly develop his strength in this sparsely populated labyrinth. However, one day, he heard the sounds of a human battle. Judging from the fighting style, it seemed to be a novice adventurer. Even an ordinary skeleton monster could push her back step by step. The male protagonist didn't want to expose himself at first, but seeing the adventurer cornered, he couldn't bear to see this novice adventurer get killed. So, he picked up a sword and rushed forward. Just like that, the male protagonist easily dealt with the skeleton monster. Then he tried to communicate with the adventurer, but the sounds he made were unclear, and the girl was highly vigilant against monsters. She didn't even listen to what the male protagonist was saying. Instead, she raised her sword and prepared to fight for her life. The male protagonist had no choice but to throw away his sword. While speaking continuously, he raised his hands to show his friendliness. Only then did the girl realize that the male protagonist seemed to be talking to her. After all, a ghoul has very few facial muscles, and if one doesn't listen carefully, it sounds no different from random yelling. After a difficult conversation, the girl learned that the male protagonist was also an adventurer in his previous life, but after his death, he somehow turned into this appearance. Realizing that the male protagonist had no ill intentions, the girl quickly apologized. Then she asked cautiously if she could leave. She was afraid that the male protagonist would kill her to silence her, since she now knew such a big secret about him. The male protagonist immediately promised that he wouldn't harm her. He just hoped that the girl could help him buy a set of clothes. The girl was a bit surprised. After learning that the male protagonist wanted to return to the town, she immediately understood that what he needed was a robe that could cover his figure. Seeing that the girl understood his meaning, the male protagonist immediately took out the money he had prepared in advance and handed it to the girl. He also said that the money left over after buying the clothes would belong to her. The girl took the money warily and told the male protagonist that she came from a nice family and would come back to repay him in the future. Then she left without looking back, looking very dashing.